Last January, it became huge news that people were using Grok on Twitter to create nude images of women and even children. Grok was basically able and willing to create explicit images of anything that you threw its way on request. You could basically take any picture off of the internet and strip it immediately. The public debate, but especially the massive outrage that followed, were to be expected. This was clearly a breach of privacy and a huge transgression. But some of the most important questions behind why millions of people were actively using this tool in this way still went unasked. What happens when intimacy becomes programmable? What happens when desire becomes frictionless? What does constant, instant gratification do to our expectations of real relationships? Relationships and love have always been a combination of affection on the one hand and lust on the other. There is a physical desire and an emotional connection. But above all, it's clear that real relationships require real effort and real vulnerability. And as it stands now, AI seems to be influencing our relationships more and more. On the one hand, through instant, endlessly customizable sexual gratification. On the other, through artificial companionship and simulated emotional attachment. We now have AI romantic partners, AI generated pictures and videos tailored to personal fantasies like we saw on Twitter, and even AI driven sex dolls powered by large language models that respond emotionally and physically to what we say or do. And while technology is developing rapidly, our understanding of its interpersonal and its societal implications is lacking behind. And this is about to be a huge issue because millions of people are about to be pulled in if we don't do anything about it right now. Let's dive in. We are heading towards a situation in which any explicit content can be generated on demand. Pictures, videos, entire scenarios, all tailored exactly to personal preference. And according to this article in The Economist, AI is already upending the porn industry and synthetic content will soon flood the internet. Now these developments push the lust variable in relationships to the extreme. It offers immediate stimulation without any effort and gratification without delay. There is no waiting, no negotiation, no vulnerability involved. With these tools and a click on the button, sexuality has become a completely individualized thing, an interaction that you have with the machine, with the artificial intelligence. This means that it has also become something to be consumed and something that is optimized for your personal preferences. This is quite a shift, especially as sexuality has always been something that happened between people, and it has some clear consequences. When desires can be satisfied instantly and constantly, our expectations begin to shift. Real intimacy, which involves timing, compromise, and uncertainty, starts to feel inefficient by comparison. And over time, that comparison can quietly reshape how people approach relationships in the real world. However, these photos and these videos that we generate still are fully virtual. What isn't fully virtual is the subject of our next segment. The next step we're taking is from digital images to physical presence. We're going to take a look at the company RealDoll, which on its website says they let you design your dream companion. Don't be alone, no drama, pure ecstasy. RealDoll has created a doll called Harmony that integrates artificial intelligence into its structure. It can speak, show facial expressions, and hold basic conversations through an implemented large language model. And there is an app that allows users to adjust the doll's personality. These dolls learn from your interactions with them and they store that information indefinitely in order to create a better fit with your personality. And what we see here is that this subject that started purely in the realm of physical desire has now moved into the realm of affection as well. With this doll, the personality of your partner has become customizable. You can, for example, change the emotional tone of your doll to the following options: moody, loving, or playful, depending on your preference. Yet the structure behind this and the results of this are largely the same as with the generated content. The interaction still takes place between a person on the one hand and an artificial system on the other. There is no true pushback, no independent will, and no real risk of rejection. The friction that shapes human connection is basically fully absent. The experience becomes controllable, and with this control, the whole nature of the interaction changes fundamentally. Anyway, the next thing we're going to be talking about is even deeper in this relational terrain. Platforms like Replika or Nomi are even deeper in this emotional territory. They explicitly brand themselves as some form of companion or partner. These are platforms on which you can create your own avatar, which then tailors itself towards your preferences over your conversations. Replika describes itself as the AI companion who cares, always here to listen and always on your side. Nomi presents itself as an AI companion with memory and even a soul. On the Reddit forums about these platforms, people describe having full relationships with their avatars. They celebrate anniversaries, share affectionate messages, and engage in intimate conversations. For many users, these bonds clearly feel real and very meaningful. And not safe for work interactions are very possible on these platforms, though you might have to pay up a little. Then through these means, these platforms combine the emotional and the sexual attachment that we experience onto one single app. Your companion in the app listens, remembers, validates, and adapts. It aligns with your preferences and reinforces your perspectives. Conflict with the AI model is minimal, and there's basically no risk of being rejected. Ever. Now, that might sound nice at first, but it also means that there's no growth happening anymore from friction or any other kind of difficulty or conflict. We are basically creating a structure in which the slower, more demanding process of actually building a relationship is replaced by something that is much more simple, but therefore probably also less meaningful. Now, below the surface, there are two very clear and fundamental problems with all of the options that we described in this video. The first issue is the ease of it all. AI-generated content, customizable dolls, and companion platforms all operate on instant gratification. They deliver exactly what is requested without any delay or uncertainty, at least as long as your Wi-Fi functions. Real relationships do not function this way. They involve disappointment, miscommunication, tension, and effort. And especially that effort is crucial because it's what builds character, patience, and emotional maturity. The second issue is that of isolation. Each of these technologies moves us further inwards. Instead of negotiating with another person, individuals increasingly engage with systems that are designed to adapt to them. Social media already narrowed our views into curated feeds. AI narrows them further, towards a single conversational partner inside an app or on a website. Over time, this will demolish our social resilience. It will drastically reduce the options that we have to handle rejection or disappointment. In extreme cases, it may contribute to fully distorted perceptions and complete emotional dependency. And even in less dramatic cases, it will mean that we have less social interactions, less conversations, less actual moments of interpersonal joy. That sounds like a pretty bleak picture going forward. So then the question remains, what should we do? On a societal level, we need to have a serious discussion about boundaries and about regulation. Platforms that simulate intimacy and monetize attachment should not operate without oversight, especially when young or vulnerable users are involved. More transparency into the motives of what drives these companies and the reason why they exist is also crucial. We can't have purely money-driven companies having this much of an impact on our meaning. On a community level, we need stronger social environments. I've said this before on this channel, but we need local groups that create spaces where people learn to cooperate and resolve conflict. Face-to-face interaction cannot fully be replaced by digital interfaces. And community life builds emotional strength in a way that these AIs simply will never be able to. On a personal life, and I'm looking at you now, this becomes very personal. We need to make sure that we are not falling into this trap of replacing our sexual and our romantic life with conversations or interactions with artificial intelligence. Spend some time outside, touch grass and meet people, have uncomfortable conversations, go on dates even though they go nowhere sometimes. Join something that requires showing up physically. Allow yourself to experience boredom without reaching for artificial intelligence, because the romantic and the sexual life are all about this friction, about not getting what you want every single time, about the process towards something better. They are meaningful, largely because they involve risk. They require courage, patience, and compromise. They include tension and uncertainty. That friction is exactly what makes a personal connection real, not a burden to get rid of. If we replace lust with instant gratification and we replace our romantic life with reassurance on a screen, we are heading in a very dark direction. Let's collectively make sure that this doesn't happen. We need to act now. Thanks for watching. If you agree, disagree, or you have any other thoughts about this subject, and believe me, there's a lot to be said here, please leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to, you can leave a like, share this video, or subscribe. Ciao!